Okay, so if you look at the syllabus for this week, we have retailing and wholesaling. I should be able to get through that today, and so I'm going to give you Thursday in class to work on the second critical thinking challenge for this class. So if you look at the syllabus, it says that there's 100 points allocated to critical thinking challenges. We did one critical thinking challenge at the beginning, and now that we're coming around to the end, I'm going to have a second critical thinking challenge. And for those of you who are in the extended class section, you might want to go to the D2L site. I've created a Dropbox called What Makes an Ad Great. So I'm asking you to combine something that we're doing this week, which is we're going to talk about retail with integrated marketing communication. So you should think about this, and it will be due when we get finished with integrated marketing communication, which will be next week. So find an ad for a retail store, a retail merchant that has advertising, and find one that you think is a great ad, that you think is one that really sells the company. Provide a YouTube link in your for your ad in your document that you'll submit, and then in a brief 5-paragraph essay, discuss 3 things that make the ad great. So you might, for example, I would choose something like the Herding Cats commercial, which was a commercial that came out at the Super Bowl years and years and years ago that was, I thought, a very creative ad. I'm actually not sure that it's a great ad, but I've chosen the Herding Cats commercial for my ad. It's a great ad because it really describes what the company does in three ways. It tells about the company in the first paragraph. In the second, it has a call to action, and in the third, it delivers a compelling message, right? Something like that. This is an opportunity for those of you who have not done as well on the exams, because you can earn bonus points on the critical thinking. If you go above and beyond that and do some research, for example, you can earn bonus points, and of course the scores are for your final grade are calculated based on a total number of points. So any questions about that? So we're going to combine what we're doing today, which is retailing and wholesaling. You're going to find an ad for a retailer and then discuss what makes that ad great, and I'll give you a Thursday's class time to work on it, so you don't have to get up quite so early on Thursday and come to class.
What day is it actually due on?
So if you look at syllabus, IMC is next week, so it will be due the Sunday after, because I'll give you the whole week to do it. So that would be, let's see, is April 19th, 25th. And I will go in and I'll put that in there right now. We'll have that. That. So it's there for you. Pop this back up. All right, so we're going to talk about retailing and wholesaling. So we talked about this in the channels lecture. Because retail and wholesale are part of the marketing channels, they provide the same value and utilities that we talked about with regard to all of the channels, right? So they provide goods and services at a time when you want. And this has increased over the years. Now, due to recent events, we've taken some steps back in terms of this. Historically, retailers were open, maybe Monday through Saturday, and they took Sunday off. And there were what were called blue laws in the past that prevented certain types of establishments from being open on Sunday because we thought that was a day of rest. Unless you were a critical business, there were lots of laws in various states that prevented people from being open on Sunday. Those have mostly gone away. I think there are still some, for example, in Oklahoma with regard to auto sales. I don't think they can be open on Sundays. Car dealers would probably like to be open on Sundays, but that's just a historic phenomenon that we have. But we've seen an increase in time. So historically, retailers were open from, like 9 to 6, Monday through Saturday or something like that. And then the hours expanded until 10. And then Walmart started doing the 24-hour thing. Now, as a result of COVID, and as a result of the fact that they've recognized that the revenue that they're generating in those hours from about 10 o'clock to, say 6 or 7 a.m. is not really worth it to keep it open. A lot of the Walmart stores, even prior to COVID really knocked down the number of hours that Walmart was open because they were going through and doing more deep cleaning in the stores. But the Guthrie Walmart, for example, immediately prior to COVID had reduced their hours. They were only open till I think 6 to 11. And historically, that Walmart had been a 24-hour. The internet has obviously also made things available at a greater time for people. They can shop online. You can, if you want to buy a car on Sunday, you can shop online. You can't pick it up until Monday, but you can start shopping online. Having it where it's convenient for you. And again, this has expanded. Historically, you had sort of a central business district. People went to that central business district, that location, to buy stuff. Now you've seen retail establishments expand to being, very convenient to almost anybody. They put CVS and Walgreens, it seems like, on every other corner. There's one up here on Danforth, and there's one on 15th Street. That's less than 2 miles apart. But having it in the place where you want it, in the form that you want. So again, most people don't want cases of Reese's peanut butter cups or cases of cereal. They want one unit of it, right? So they sort it, stack it, and break down pallets so that it's in the form that you want. And of course, they have a possession utility. They're taking a risk in maintaining this inventory, and that provides value to you because they have it when you want, where you want, and they're taking the risk that it could be damaged or spoiled or expire before they're able to sell it. Retailing is a huge impact in our economy, and 4 of the 40 largest businesses are retail: Walmart, Costco, Home Depot, and Target. And of course, now Amazon is added to that list, right? They're a huge form of merchandising and impact on the economy. So what really keeps the economy chugging along in places like the United States is consumer demand in many respects, and these businesses have a huge impact. And you find these businesses in almost every location. You find Walmarts all over the place. We've just now got a Costco in the last several years here in Oklahoma City, but you find Home Depots. How many Home Depots are there in the Oklahoma City area? There's something like 7 or 8 of them, and Target. So they have a major impact on our economy and consumer demand. If consumers are feeling uneasy about the economy, that will reduce usually spending, and that can have a huge impact on whether or not we grow that year. At the beginning of COVID, it was predicted that we would have, maybe negative growth as a result of the fact that so many businesses had to shut. But it turns out that consumer demand went up. If you had a job, particularly in things like auto sales, they were selling, really, really quickly. In boat sales, for the first time in 10 years, the average, I think I told you this before, the average first-time boat buyer dropped below 50. So the average age of a first-time boat buyer for the last 10 to 15 years has been about 55, and it dropped to about 44 this last year. And if you went into the places like Blackbeard Marine, I went in there to buy some Yama lube for my wave runner, and like the showroom was empty. And I'm like, are you guys going out of business? They're like, no, we sold out of our inventory because people were looking for things to do and places to spend their money. And if you can't go to the movies, you're not going out to eat because restaurants are closed. A lot of those businesses benefited, and it actually kept our economy chugging along in many respects. There were businesses that were negatively impacted and businesses that were positively impacted. Almost 50% of all retail sales in a year are generated for something to do with the holiday season. And if people feel good about the economy, they have a tendency to go out and spend more money, and that can increase our GDP. We can classify retail in a number of ways. We can classify it in terms of forms of ownership. So are they an independent retailer? There are about 1.1 million of these independents, non-chain stores. So things like Best of Books up here in Kicking Bird Plaza on Danforth, or Full Circle Bookstore in 50 Penn Place down on Northwest Expressway and Pennsylvania Avenue. Are they a corporate chain like Walmart? Or are they contractual systems like the Independent Grocers Association, where they pool their resources and buy in larger volumes so that they can take advantage of those discounts, things that like Walmart has gotten. And again, as a result of these big box retailers, they have really changed the power structure in the channel. Historically, the producers had most of the power in the channel because they set the original price. But Walmart was the first to do this. They got so large that they started telling companies what they would pay for their products. We can also classify retail according to levels of service. So is it self-service? And when we talk about the wheel of retailing, you'll see that some of these things have increased the level of service that they have. So self-service warehouse clubs. And the first Sam's, I believe, in the United States opened, and it's where CarMax is now. That building was the first Sam's Club on Memorial Road. And it was, open to individuals and small businesses like mine. You had to get a membership, but they didn't do very much for you. You had to go and you pulled stuff off the shelves yourself, and they didn't provide Sackers. Again, when I was a kid growing up, every grocery store had Sackers, right? There were two major groups of employees in grocery stores. There were the cashier, or the three groups. There were stockers, cashiers, and bag boys, or Sackers. And a lot of stores stopped doing that, right? And they made the cashier start sacking. When warehouse clubs, they just scan it, or they just rang it up, and you had to actually, if you wanted to have it sacked or boxed at Sam's, you had to do it yourself. Now they've started increasing the level of service that they have in some of these, like Sam's has increased a lot exponentially the amount of services that they provide. Are they limited service, which is things like Walmart? Again, historically, grocery stores had bag boys that would carry your groceries out to the car. Walmart historically did not do that, but again, they're changing in order to be able to compete with things like Amazon, which delivers your goods to your door. So they're now doing online and delivery and pickup services and things like that. But historically, Walmart was limited service. They put it out there. They had some people that could help you maybe with the merchandise if you were looking for something. but they didn't bag it and take it to your car, and now they've expanded these services. Or are they full service where you have, a credit department, so you can get a credit card, and they have gift wrapping, and they have, for example, Neiman Marcus concierge services where they'll help you shop and pick out items and determine what, they have people that will advise you on, looks and what kind of skin tone you have and all that kind of stuff. We can also classify retail by the types of merchandise lines they carry. So we talk about both depth and breadth. So depth is a large assortment of a single product line. So DSW Shoes has a lot of depth in terms of what? Shoes. You can buy shoes at Sam's Club. They have them from time to time. They don't always carry them, but they have them. They've had special deals where they get shoes in, but they don't have like a huge selection. Whereas if you go to DSW in terms of just men's running shoes, they'll have Nike, Adidas, and New Balance, and within those various brand names, they'll also have a lot of different product assortments, right? But DSW doesn't have a lot of breadth. They primarily sell shoes. Now they sell some other things, but not a whole lot of those other things. They sell some accessories like women's handbags, and they sell some socks and things like that, but they have a lot of depth with regard to shoes and not a lot of breadth with regard to those other kinds of items. Whereas Walmart has both an enormous amount of depth and breadth in their product lines. So you can go to Walmart and they have a shoe department and they carry lots of different brands of shoes, lots of different styles. Maybe they don't have as much depth in shoes as DSW does, but they also have a lot of breadth. They carry everything from laundry detergent, textiles, shoes, automotive, care, and they carry a wide variety in each of those product lines. Then you can think about Sam's as being one that has a lot of breadth, but not a lot of depth. If you go to Sam's Club, they carry some of the same stuff that Walmart has. They have textiles and soap and grocery, but they don't have the depth in each of those product lines. If you go to Sam's and you want, for example, underarm deodorant, if you go to Walmart, they've got Mitchum and Sure and all of these different things. If you go to Sam's, they have underarm deodorant. It comes in a 4-pack, and they have basically 2 types to choose from, one for women and one for men. They don't carry a huge depth of each of those product lines. If you want razors at Sam's, they carry those, but they carry 1 or 2 brands, whereas at Walmart, you can get Harry's, you can get Schick, you can get Bic razors, all of that. So depth and breadth. How many different product lines do they carry? How many different stock keeping units do they carry? And then how much do they carry in each of those in terms of an assortment of them? Non-store retailing. This provides retailing in places where you maybe can't get to a store easily. So here in the College of Business, we have vending machines. If you're hungry, you're on your way to class, or you're thirsty, you can get automated vending. And there's been a change in this. Historically, that was mostly for food items and beverages, right? In automated vending. What all do they carry now in automated vending as well? Think about the airport. How has automated vending changed? Again, historically, what you found in automated vending was primarily food, snacks, peanuts, candy bars, and soda pop, right? And that's what we have basically in the College of Business. But if you go to the airport, What kinds of things are they selling in automated vending machines now?
I know, this isn't like the airport, but I think at Penn Square, there's like a proactive vending machine
Okay,
over on the second floor.
that sells
It's like the proactive skincare.
the proactive, yeah, that's, I didn't hear you. I thought you said interactive vending machines. Yeah, they sell proactive. If you go to the airport, they have, I don't know why they put proactive in the airports, but if you go to Dallas, DFW, Fort Worth, they have proactive vending machines. That was one of the first things that I saw that was not like sort of a food vending that they started selling. And now they're selling consumer electronics in vending machines. So if you forget your earbuds, you can get them at the airport in a vending machine in case you don't have time to run through one of the retail outlets there. Direct mail and catalogs. This used to be a huge area. It's somewhat decreased as a result of the internet. However, there are still lots of people who are like my mother's generation, baby boomers, and then traditionalists that actually like to get something in the mail and thumb through it. Sears and Roebuck used to have what was called the Wish Book, and it came out every year at around Christmas time, and it was a very thick catalog that almost every household got, and you would go through it. And you could buy all kinds of stuff from Sears and Roebuck in the past. I think I've told you this before. I live in Guthrie, and it's a Victorian city, and Sears and Roebuck used to sell entire kit houses called shotgun houses that you could order online, and they shipped chickens, and you could order all kinds of products from the Sears and Roebuck catalog. That has sort of died out, although there are still a lot of specialty stores like Orvis. My brother is a big Orvis fan, and he gets Orvis because he likes to fly fish catalogs all the time because he orders them now. I get catalogs from Allen Edmonds Shoes because that's one of the things that I like. Television shopping networks, these started to pop up I believe in the late 1980s. QVC, for example, and if you think about Shark Tank, Lori Grenier is one of the sharks on Shark Tank, and she's one of the ones that is a huge television shopping network. She brings all kinds of stuff. I think she's with QVC. So you can watch, the program, and they have demonstrations on it of the product and how they're used, and then you can call in, order, or go online. Online is obviously increasing in terms of its importance, in terms of retail, and things that I never thought, 20 years ago that you would buy online, people are now buying online. You can buy clothes online. And the first years of the internet, in the early years of the internet, and when they started online retailing, the customer experience was really, really poor. But now, as a result of the fact that you can send everything back and they have second day shipping, it's not that big of a deal. If you get something and it doesn't fit, you can ship it back. I will tell you that Amazon, and they won't tell you how much, but if you send too much stuff back, they will blackball you on Amazon Prime. And they won't tell you how much it is, but they will drop your Prime account. But online is obviously becoming an increasingly important part as people are shopping more and more. And with Amazon and their delivery system, now you can get stuff really, really quickly, and you get the convenience of not having to actually go and fight the crowds at the mall. So historically, the largest day in retail was what? Anybody know?
Black Friday?
Black Friday was the largest day in retail. And now, because of online, they now have Cyber Monday, which is becoming equally as important day in retail. Telemarketing. This is one where about 7 to 10 years ago, I would have said it's dead because people stopped doing things. I still have a landline because we have a business in our home. And so, but we don't have actually like Southwestern Bell. We use Vonage because it was cheaper. But I'm one of the few people that still has a landline. And as a professor here in our office, we still have, these items that are attached to our desk. But most people have gotten away from that. Does anybody in here still have a landline? At work, right? Yeah, so, no, most people have this device. And there was, you were prohibited by law from getting cell phone numbers. That's all changed. And there was a do not call registry that has largely become ineffective and has been destroyed because there are so many loopholes to the do not call registry that now you're seeing telemarketers increasing, and it's not just live people anymore. It's a artificial intelligence that can, sort of interact with you. How many of you receive phone calls about your extended warranty expiring? I probably get like 4 of those annoying calls a day. And you can block the number, but as soon as you block it, they have like a whole series of numbers and they're calling back trying to sell you extended home warranties or extended car warranties and things like that. Direct selling. Again, in the past, this was huge. You had lots of door-to-door salesmen and lots of things were sold directly through that sort of marketing channel of going direct. Fuller Brushes, the Fuller Brush Company is still in business. Historically, they sold door-to-door. They don't anymore. They sell Fuller Brushes in retail outlets. Electrolux vacuum cleaners were sold this way. They're no longer sold like that. You could buy Electrolux in, I believe, Best Buy, and I think Home Depot carries Electrolux. But these vacuum salesmen would go door to door and they would do a product demonstration, right? And then you would order and they would ship you the vacuum cleaner. Rainbow vacuum cleaners were another brand that were sold like this. And the sort of deal with Rainbow was, unlike the bags, so historically vacuum cleaners all had this bag that you had to take out. And when you took the bag out, if you didn't do it outside, dust sort of went everywhere and you were having to clean up again. Rainbow, their sort of gimmick was that you put water in the bottom of this tank and then you would vacuum. And it really was, they had an incredible suction to them. And, you just then would dump out the water and you wouldn't have to, when you undid it, you wouldn't get this sort of blowback of dust bunnies and things like that you got with the bag. But lots of things were sold direct selling. There are still, Avon is still sold through direct sales. Mary Kay Cosmetics is still sold through independent direct sellers. Things like Pampered Chef, Party Light, where they do home parties for these things, are sold directly.
Solar panel.
Yeah, windows are another one that people are now. I've had several people come through and try to sell solar panels. There's now a company, I think that was, I believe, I may be incorrect, but I believe it was somewhat funded by T. Boone Pickens before he passed away, that was looking at wind, like the small wind mills that you could put on your house so that you could then generate your own electricity. But solar is one of those that is being sold. Encyclopedia Tessa and the extended classes, Encyclopedia books, they used to sell Encyclopedia Britannica and the World Book door to door, and that's something that you haven't seen in years, them coming by, because why would you need that when you have Wikipedia that you can look up? But yeah, historically books were sold that way. Avon, Mary Kay, vacuum cleaners. Now they're going door to door, like I said, and selling windows and siding. There's a company that goes door to door and sells windows and siding. Also, every time there seems to be a major hailstorm or tornado or windstorm or damage, they come through, the roofing companies come through. You have to be kind of careful because some of them are, less than reputable companies that come in and we'll do a free roof inspection for you, and they'll sell you a roof. So the wheel of retailing and the retail life cycle. So in the first stage, you just sort of try to penetrate the market. And Walmart is a very good example of this. So Sam Walt was actually born in Kingfisher, Oklahoma, but his family moved to Arkansas. And he went into the military, I believe, and when he got out, he started, his first store was not called Walmart. It was called Ben Franklin. He was a franchisee of the Ben Franklin 5 and dime stores. And he was pretty successful at that. And the landlord in the building that he was leasing decided that maybe his son-in-law should have that business. And so he didn't renew the lease. So Sam started looking for something else. And somewhere along the way, he started his first branded store with his name. It wasn't a Ben Franklin 5 and dime. It was called Walton's originally. And from there, he expanded and he really is responsible. He went to I think a trade show and saw these things that nobody thought would sell or be very popular in the United States called flip-flops. And now he bought like a huge crate of these flip-flops and just had a big bin of them out in his store. And they became enormously popular in the South in places like, rivers and lakes, because it's easy to get, them on and off quickly. They make, great sort of boat shoes or deck shoes. So penetrating, there are low margins, the low cost provider, and that's what he started out as. When he started Walmart, it was basically the low cost, provider, and it grew. The business just expanded exponentially. There were other retailers that did sort of what Walmart did. At the time he started, the biggest one that was probably a competitor, which has gone broke, was called Kmart. And what made him more successful than Kmart? Anybody know what made Walmart more successful than Kmart? Why people started preferring Walmart to Kmart?
Is it cheaper?
Price match.
No price match? No. I mean, Kmart was pretty cheap. And Woolworths was another one that was around, and they were pretty cheap. The thing that Walmart did was they would take anything back. And you didn't have to have a receipt. Historically, retailers, you had to have your receipt so that you had some proof of purchase that you bought it there. And they had a very limited window that they would take things back. And Walmart would take anything back. I mean, there are stories of people that took stuff back to Walmart that Walmart didn't even carry. And they would take it back. So in stage 2, you're establishing, you can now start to get higher margins, although Walmart's maintained their sort of value pricing through this, but they were, got established. They started in the South. They've now expanded. They're almost everywhere except places like New York City, where they won't let them have a big enough footprint to put in a Walmart store. But everywhere else you can find Walmart. And then in the third stage, they're strongly established. They can start having higher prices and higher costs. Walmart has sort of bought that, but they are somewhat increasing their costs, even though they still say that they're the everyday low cost provider. For example, in Guthrie, with regard to groceries, Homeland has got a brand of store that they started, which is a cost plus. So it's called Cash Saver, and it's cost plus 10% markup at the register. And they're actually cheaper than Walmart in a lot of the products if you do price by comparison. And then in the fourth stage, you have competitors enter. You have lower margins and again penetrative. So you start adding more services. What has Walmart started to add? Again, they were a very low service firm. Now what does Walmart do? They'll do curbside pickup and shopping for you so that you don't have to go in. And that became even more popular during COVID so that people didn't have to go into the store and interact with a lot of people. They have credit services, money services that they provide, and things like that. So they're clearly going through the stage in the wheel of retail. changes in retailing. So now we're seeing more of an integrated approach. And this is one of the things that you should look at for this critical thinking challenge that you're going to, I'm going to give you class time on Thursday to do, is look at this sort of, think about integrated marketing communication and integrated retailing and how those two things sort of combine together. Integrated marketing communication is the theory, we'll talk more about this, that you have to sort of speak with one voice in your promotional mix. So integrating that approach, trying to get the products where they want, when they want, and how people want them. What has Walmart done as a response to Amazon? Amazon starts out as just a retailer of used books. That's what they originally did. Was they brought, and it was really kind of just a marketplace bringing buyers and sellers together in the used book market. Now Amazon has expanded and they sell everything, right? So Walmart has had to start expanding into what they'll do, and they're having this online approach. Now, it's hard to compete with Amazon because they were the first to market it. Just like it was hard to compete with Walmart in many respects because they were the first one to really establish that idea that they would take anything back, and they became huge, this big, huge supercenter type store where you could get everything under one roof. So an integrated approach, having internet and an online presence, as well as a brick and mortar store where people can run to and still get stuff. If you are having a dinner party and you run out of something, as good as Amazon is, they don't have any physical locations yet. And so you still may have to run to Walmart or the Costco or Homeland to get stuff. So integrating that approach in multi-channel retailing, where you have an online, or you have a bricks and mortar. So bricks and clicks is what that's called. And then if you think about things like Orvis and Eddie Bauer, they have this integrated approach. They have catalogs. They sell their products in other retailers besides their own. They have their own retail stores, and they have an online presence as well. Now, Walmart initially, one of the things that made Walmart a better experience than, say, Kmart or TG&Y or Woolworths was that they would take anything back. And they had this policy when Sam was alive that if a store associate came within so many feet of you, they were supposed to look you in the eye and say, "Welcome to Walmart. Is there anything I can help you with?" And it actually kind of got a little creepy. You'll probably remember this, that they had, men had to wear ties and that you had to look somewhat professional. When Sam died and they got, too big, they no longer sort of have that. They still have a store greeter who's supposed to say, "Welcome to Walmart," and what can we help you with, or do you need anything? We point you in the right direction. But they really managed in their early days this customer experience. But then when they really went to being the bargain basement prices, and they got so big, the experience became less pleasant, right? And again, when I first started going to Walmart as a kid, there were these people that would actually help you, and they would say things like, "Welcome to Walmart," and "How can I help you?" And like I said, it was maybe a little too much. But now, going to Walmart is, for me, a miserable experience. I have to go at least once a week to shop for my business because there's stuff that we can't get at US Foods or at Sam's Club that we need for the business. And they don't have that level of customer service. Now they're trying to get it back to that as they recognize that people are going to expect more because they're having this pressure from Amazon, which has great positive customer experiences, right? So Walmart is trying to get that back, but having this experience where the customer at every touch point feels like you actually care and that they have contact. Now, one of the things that's hard with online, particularly things like with Amazon, is that most of us don't really want to talk to a person, but there are times when you actually have to. and it's difficult to actually get a live person in many of these online retailers. It's hard to find in many instances a number even to call. They want to chat with you. A lot of these online retailers, they'll have a, contact us and it will pop up a chat box. And that uses somewhat artificial intelligence to sort of sort and get you to what you want. But there are times when you really need a actual human being to help you. And so managing those customer experiences and expectations is becoming really, really critical in a highly competitive, globally linked world. Wholesaling. We have merchant wholesalers, and we can classify these, again, as full service or limited service. Sam's, again, started out as a very limited service wholesaler. You got a membership card, you went in, they had stuff on the shelves, there wasn't a lot of people to help you. You had to box it up yourself. Now, they're becoming more full service. They have the ability to order online and have curbside pickup at Sam's Clubs. Some merchant wholesalers like US Foods will have greater services. They deliver. US Foods has, they deliver directly to restaurants and retail outlets. They also have credit. So they'll do, 30, 60, 90-day credit, which is a service that they provide. We classify wholesalers as agents or brokers. Agents and brokers, again, are generally ones that bring people together to facilitate transactions and make it easier, but don't necessarily take possession of the product. This is used a lot in produce. Brokers are used a lot in produce and grocery situations. And then you can have manufacturers, agents that act as the sales force, and this is what we did. The company I worked with is we had a system of distributor networks that were independent contractors that we pay a commission to, but they actually went out and worked as our sales force in making contacts with schools, demonstrating the product, and then helping them with installation and stuff, but they never actually took possession of the product. We shipped it directly to the school, and the distributor would then work with them to get it installed through our technical support. Any questions about retailing and wholesaling? All right, so for those of you who came in late, or if you joined the conversation late on the extended classroom, Thursday I'm giving you class time to work on the critical thinking project, which will be due on the Sunday after we finish talking about integrated marketing communication. So you're going to find an ad for a retailer. So we're going to combine IMC and retail, and tell me what makes that ad great. You can earn bonus points if you go sort of expand beyond that 5-paragraph essay. You can get full credit just by having a very simple 5-paragraph essay. I've chosen an ad for Taco Bell. I think the ad is, great because it describes the new product or whatever. It tells what time Taco Bell is open. After midnight. When I think Taco Bell used to do these commercials where it was, late night drive-through. So, the idea being after you got out of the bars, you could go get something, something like that. And then it engages the mind of the consumer. And then, have the conclusion. I think this ad is great because it describes the product in detail. It provides where you can get the product, and it engages the mind of the consumer, something like that. If you want to go beyond that, to talk about target marketing or things like that, you can win bonus points that will be added to your total score. All right. Any questions? So there's a drop box on D2L for that. If you joined us late or you walked in, I went over that. So you go to the assignments tab, or I think they've relabeled that. Yeah, you go to assessments and then assignments. That used to be called Dropbox. Let's switch it to that view. And then when you click on assignments, there's the what makes an ad great critical thinking challenge. All right. Come up and see me if you got points, and I will add, if you texted me, I will add those right now as well. And I will see you guys a week from today. And we'll start talking about integrated marketing communication.